to Global Harmony House, our Thursday night insights, and it is indeed a blessing that you are with us, and we will be blessed with this program tonight. So I'm going to ask our host, MC, Sister Michelle, to come on and introduce the program, the guest, and the evening. Michelle, are you there? And once again, I am not seeing Michelle. Hold on. Try again. Well, that's a curious little case, but we will see if we can get Michelle. I can see your microphone is on, but your camera is not. And so I am that magical dot that you are seeing on your screen. But we are going to change that shortly and invite our guest, Sister Judy Rodgers, who is now with us also, to come along. And we invite you, Sister Judy, from that great place of Peace Village, to join us with this program. The song that we played was a special request, and that was Bing Crosby, Counting My Blessings. And I'm hoping that I have more than one blessing tonight, because one of those is Judy Rodgers, who is going to be the presentation. And the other blessing I would like to have is for Michelle Schimmel to join us for this program. And she's coming in another way.
I'm coming in another way, and let me turn this off. I needed a little drama.
Well, drama
Can
is
you hear
wonderful.
me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
And I'm going
I
to allow
apologize,
you
everyone.
to.
I was so comfortable. Can you hear me? There's no echo?
We can hear you, and when you sit back, we can see you.
Okay.
And so now we
Excuse
have
me.
Michelle and Judy, who are going to take over the program at this time.
Well, I needed a little drama, Sister Judy, and this was good. This fits the day, and that's wonderful, because I was having a good day and I had a lot to be grateful for today. So I need to be brought back. So thank you, Brother Eric, for holding down the fort while I ran and got another computer. So welcome, Sister Judy. And welcome everyone to our ongoing Thursday night conversations. And it's kind of ironic because I spent knowing today's subject and what's going on for the month of gratitude is more important now than ever. I actually would stop during the day, and I had a very busy day, to think about all the blessings that I had. And maybe later I could tell you a little bit about, I think I went overboard, and it was kind of disruptive to people that I'm in this time frame. I was almost too chipper. So that's kind of interesting. But anyway, today, we're going to continue with our theme for November. Gratitude is more important now than ever. And tonight's program is Gratitude. A grateful heart is a magnet for miracles. And if you've ever experienced miracles, large and small, and I'm very blessed that I've seen miracles, I'm going to ask everyone to think about, what are you grateful for today? That's a good question. Today. Are you grateful for something that happened today, a small thing or a large thing? And that's something that we should carry with us throughout. Our speaker, who I'm going to introduce in a moment because she's just terrific, and that's Sister Judy Rodgers. So we're very privileged to have her back. So welcome, Judy. A pleasure to see you. And I'll just give a little background on Judy. Works as a consultant and a communication strategist for businesses and universities. She emphasizes the power of narrative and strength-based inquiry as a catalyst for transformation in both individuals and organizations. Judy is also teacher of Raja Yoga meditation for over 20 years. Her focus is on the quality of how consciousness affects everything we think, we see, we do. And she is the founder and board president of Images and Voices of Hope, which is an NGO that seeks to strengthen the role of media as agents for world benefit. As a mother, she has increased her spiritual powers, power to you, of patience and compassion, and learned the importance of having a sense of humor. And I'm summoning that right now. So thank you for that. And welcome, Sister Judy. And it's a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. That is an old bio and an old photo that we sent out. So I guess I'm grateful for those memories. I am really grateful for the spiritual community that is Harmony House. I'm imagining those of you who are with us tonight, I'm imagining that I'm sitting on that stage and that you are there in the pews of Harmony House, as you have been so many times, and that we're having a chat about gratitude. I think one of the most valuable things in this time is to have spiritual friendship and to have a spiritual community. And we have that with Harmony House. We have a lovely place and a lovely community. And because we have been spiritual friends for a long time, then now in this time when we have to speak from our homes, we still can imagine that we're in that room together and we're having a nice chat. And I'm looking forward to your answers to Michelle's questions about what you're grateful for today. So I'm just going to share a few thoughts with you as I've been thinking about this today. We're well into the season of gratitude and the season of lights. And we have Diwali on Saturday. Then we'll move into Hanukkah and Christmas and all of the celebrations that come as the night comes on and the world gets, at least the northern hemisphere gets darker, that we bring in all of this light. So, this is an interesting topic, this grateful heart as a magnet for miracles. There is real power and magic in having a grateful heart. And it awakens in us our sense of fortune and blessings. And Michelle, I think it's very funny that that you were so you were so grateful today that you actually perhaps became an annoyance to people. I find that to be really funny and really cute. So, gratitude is one of those things that comes more easily to some than to others. It's kind of a habit of the heart. Some people just sort of have a naturally upbeat outlook where things always seem to be okay, pretty okay, and for others it's more work. So tonight I want us to think a little bit, if you are one of those who has to cultivate gratitude, I want us to think a little bit about how to do that. So, you know, if you've been coming to these insight programs for a while, and I'm suspecting you have been, if I were with you, I'd ask how many of you were new tonight and how many had been here before. And I would imagine most of you would have been here before. Um, what what I would have said to you before is that, and I have said this to you before, is that, when the Brahma Kumaris think about the relationship between what we're aware of and the action that we take in the world, we understand there to be kind of a sequence. And it goes something like this. So, as is my awareness, so is my attitude. And as is my attitude, so is my vision. And as is my vision, so are my actions in the world. And as are my actions, so is the world I create. So when we apply that to gratitude, when my awareness is an awareness of being grateful, of appreciation, of counting my blessings, as that song said, then what is my attitude? So if I'm aware of my fortune, I'm feeling lucky, then what is my attitude? My attitude becomes one of lightness. I'm feeling like um, things are okay. Things are working well. Things are coming my way. There's benefit in my life, benevolence in my life. So if my awareness is gratitude, my attitude is lightness. And then what is my vision? So with that orientation of lightness, and I look out at the world, what do I see? So I see possibility. I see opportunity. I see how things might work, how people might connect, how something might take us somewhere. So I have a vision of opportunity. And if I have a vision of opportunity, then what kind of actions am I taking? Right? I'm taking actions to bring people together, to bring those benevolent things close, to move through whatever's in the way. And that's where the blessings and the miracles come from. And we know how it works the other way, right? I mean, if I have an attitude of heaviness or bad luck, things just don't go my way, things aren't working so well, that progression is the same. So then my attitude is heaviness. And then my vision is I see obstacles everywhere. And then once I see obstacles everywhere, I'm reluctant to take action. So having an awareness of gratitude, having an awareness of benefit, having an awareness of appreciation actually ripples into my whole life. So the more that I can sustain that awareness, the more different my life will be. So I'm going to propose that, and then I want us to test it a little bit. So when you think about gratitude, and Michelle was just saying to us, think about that she began to think about it and she just saw benefit everywhere. So some things are obvious, right? So we're grateful for our health. We are grateful for our families. We are grateful for being safe. If I feel safe, I'm grateful for that. So all the things that are surrounding me, I can be grateful for a good meal. I can be grateful for a beautiful sunset. Those are the sort of obvious things. They present themselves in front of us, and we're grateful for that. A full moon, a starry night, etc. I can be grateful that I still have a job. I could be grateful that the people around me seem to be doing okay. All right. All of that is sort of in the domain of gratitude. And I would say in the domain of easy gratitude. It's not hard to be grateful for those things. So let's take it up a notch. What about being grateful or having a grateful awareness or a grateful heart for something that's not immediately obvious as fortune? Let's take COVID. So, if I were to say to you, are there ways in which this COVID pandemic and the isolation and the quarantining and the caution and the separation and all of that has been a fortune, has been a benefit? What would you say? Is there a silver lining in COVID? Are there things that you look around and say, actually, this is pretty fortunate? Now, I'm going to guess some of you would say, yeah, actually, we're cooking at home instead of eating out all the time. Or we're around the children more. I mean, otherwise they'd go off to school and we'd go off to work. Or I'm not on airplanes all the time and at airports all the time. All of these, there are definitely downsides to COVID, but there are also some things that we really have to be grateful for. It's taken us to kind of a certain intimacy at home. Now, I know not all homes have that sweetness in them, but if you're counting your own blessings, just notice as these challenging things come, are there blessings in those things as well? Are there things to be grateful for? It's a way of orienting. It's a way of orienting yourself to life. Asking this question, and as Michelle said, once you ask the question, the world shows up differently. Sometimes something happens that's a complete surprise, and it does not feel beneficial at first. But if we ask this question, if we have gratitude in our awareness, we can shift it. I'll give you an example. So I have a good friend who chronically overcommits herself. And I've known her for 25 years, and for 25 years that I've known her, she is always overcommitted. She is always exhausted. She always is rushing off to the next thing. And so recently she actually called me one night in October, and she said that she was really, really fed up. She was really, really fed up. She felt like she had double and triple booked herself. She'd committed to things she couldn't keep. She was tired. She saw that she kept doing it, but she couldn't figure out how to stop doing it. And I said the same thing to her I've been saying for 25 years. I said, well, one of these times you will decide that this isn't the way you want to live. And you'll begin to say no to some things, and you'll begin to delegate to other people, and you'll begin to find other people to do things. But until then, I don't know how to be helpful. But one of these days you'll do that. So, unbeknownst to me, she hung up the phone and she actually went and got in a hot tub. She has a hot tub at her house. And when she was done hot tubbing, or whatever the verb is, she decided she could make the little jump out of the hot tub over to a platform to get a towel, and she missed it and she fell and she broke her left arm, and she's left-handed. So she called me the next day and she said, I can't believe this. I mean, I had just spoken to you and I immediately went out and broke my left arm. And I said, well, that's fabulous. I mean, I'm sorry about your arm, but isn't this just what you said you wanted? You wanted a really good reason to decline all these meetings and all these calls and all these emails, and it's your left arm. And so it's not going to be easy for you to hold the phone or type or send emails or anything. So good news. I mean, I know it'll heal, but for now, this is a nice long time for you to change that habit. And sometimes there is submerged benefit in something that we experience. It wouldn't appear beneficial. Most people would say breaking your arm and having a big piece of titanium put into it and having to heal over months and months is not a good thing. But there is benefit. And for the self inside who couldn't find the strength to say, no, this is just perfect. So when you look at it from that perspective, so let's run our little test. So what's her awareness? Her awareness is gratitude. So what's her attitude now about healing? Because she's got a big, long time to heal. Well, her attitude is really a fair amount of lightness. I mean, people are sending chocolates and people are sending, good wishes, and she's off the hook for all those meetings and all those calls that she had overcommitted to. So what's her vision? Her vision is actually of a quieter life. She's meditating more. She's a very sweet place in terms of what goes on every day. And the action that's happening is she's actually moving towards a life that is less pressured. Even though she was putting the pressure on herself, now with this event that happened to her. Now she's seeing that she's also the agent of her own rescue, if you will. So sometimes when something doesn't look beneficial, like COVID or like this friend of mine breaking her arm, and actually there's huge benefit in that. Now another story. So and another story of sadness, actually, this one. So for the last 5 days, I've had a friend here with me. I'm in Peace Village, which is the Brahma Kumari's retreat center in the Catskills. And I've had a friend with me who lost her husband in July. And this was a wonderful man. They were deeply in love. It was a perfect marriage. And she lost him to cancer. She's super sad, super, super sad. And she wrote and said, could she come for a retreat? And I said, sure, come. So she arrived on Sunday, and she was pretty weepy. She was doing okay. She's doing okay because she is fundamentally sort of an upbeat person, but sad, right? And a little bit anxious, I think. And so over those days, we meditated and we went for walks, but we also talked about how lucky she had been to have this magnificent relationship. And even though it didn't last as long as she had thought it would, or they had thought it would, even though it was cut short by cancer, that a lot of people never have that. They never have that depth of friendship with someone, the shared interests, the mutual support, the mutual respect, and all that. So we kept returning to this idea about, yes, sorrow for sure and missing for sure, but also real gratitude over having had that experience and knowing that once you've had that love, that confidence in love, that you are more able to love easily, love everybody, because you have that well of love inside you. So again, not obviously something to be grateful for, but embedded in it, real gratitude. So from her awareness of gratitude, from what she'd had for those years, to the attitude of real acceptance, lightness and acceptance. And her vision became that perhaps she would be a resource eventually, when she healed, to those who were going through loss, to help them find their way. And to the action being the various ways she could do that. So, it's not always in happy moments that we see things to be grateful for. Now, those of you who are with us tonight are on a spiritual path. You wouldn't be with us if you weren't on a spiritual path. And so when you're on the spiritual path, one thing you become really grateful for is the awareness of who you are. The awareness that you are not these bodies that age and eventually go, but that you are light, that you are eternal energy, that you are fundamentally good and sweet and kind and peaceful and loving and compassionate and all of that. That's an eternal state of being, that's who you came into the world as, and that's who you fundamentally are. That is the source of immense gratitude, that you know that you're traveling through life knowing that that's who you are. That's a source of tremendous gratitude. And with that gratitude comes lightness, because you know that you are eternal. You will shed the body at some point, but that the light will live on and take another one, or whatever your belief is about afterlife. Your vision then becomes a vision of how do you use that life in a valuable way. And then you take that quality of action. You do those deeds that would support that. And then the other aspect on a spiritual path, the other aspect that we get very grateful for, we know we're blessed, is the awareness of God, the awareness of the Father of the souls, the parent of the souls, the awareness of whatever, however you think of that being, the supreme soul or whatever. That awareness is an enormous blessing. It's an enormous source of gratitude. And especially when we understand the context in which God is present at this time. You know, when my friend who had lost her husband, when she came, we were talking about the soul. And then at some point I said something about, well, you know, the presence of God. And she said, you don't need to tell me about God. She said, I've had that experience. And I said, really? And she said, yep. I said, tell me about that. And she said, well, when I was in my 40s, she said, I was in church. She's a Catholic. She said, I was in church and I was on my knees, and it wasn't an easy time. I was praying to God and I was looking for help. And she said, I felt this current of love come pouring over me. And she said it was unmistakable who it was. It was unmistakable what it was. And she said, ever since then, I've had absolute faith. So then we talked about, well, what is the greatest blessing you could have? Is the absolute faith that we're in God's care, the absolute faith that the soul is safe, that the soul has that connection, that that's really who the soul really is, and that source of unlimited love, unlimited sweetness, unlimited protection is there for the soul. And when we have that awareness, when we have the awareness not only that we're a soul, but that we belong to God, then from that comes an attitude of real lightness. Now I know I have nothing to worry about, no matter what happens. And my vision then becomes benevolent because I have so much to give. I'm filled with all the blessings of that. And that then comes back to me. And one of the things that we know about this time is that, and this is sort of when you think about Diwali, for example, or Christmas, or all of these holidays of light, they celebrate light coming into a dark world. And when that happens, when God's energy, when the light of the divine, the supreme soul enters the world of darkness, then suddenly there are two energies in the world. There's the descending energy of the souls getting tired, and we see a lot of evidence in the world of descending energy, right? We see political fractiousness. We see, of course, the pandemic. We've seen forest fires everywhere, Australia, California, Amazon. So there's a lot of evidence of the breaking down of the old. But this presence of God's energy, of this ascending energy, is what's remarkable in this time. So both of those things are going on. The descending energy of the world breaking down, the ascending energy of that God has brought into the world and of the souls connecting with God. And you might think of them as sort of two fields of energy. So there's a field of descending energy, and there's a field of ascending energy, of light, etc. And when you are in a state of gratitude, you affiliate yourself with the ascending energy. You enlarge the pool of ascending energy. So if we needed any further reasons to be grateful, this idea that we enlarge that pool of energy and we create this this field or pool of what the world needs. So actually, this ability to stay in states of gratitude and joy and happiness and all of that is, it is service, even if we don't go and do anything, even if we don't go serve food at a food pantry or um, do any one of those kind of physical acts. That state is a state of service. Sometimes we talk about sort of the different quality of thoughts in the soul, and gratitude is both a thought and a feeling, right? So gratitude in the heart, gratitude sort of opens the heart. When we're grateful, we have an open heart. But gratitude is also a thought in the mind. So the thought of gratitude is a fortune. How lucky I am. How beneficial this is. How much opportunity that there is in this. That's the thought in the mind. And we know that the thoughts that, the mind is a stage on which a lot of different kinds of thoughts come and dance their way across the stage. And we know that depending on the quality of thought, because the soul is light, the soul is a vibrational being. So the quality of thought that we hold in the mind and the quality of feeling that we hold in the heart actually affect everything around us, starting with the body. So if I am in a state of sorrow, or I am in a state of anxiety or fear, those vibrations of sorrow and anxiety and fear affect me right away in the body, the heart, the lungs, the mind, the brain, the everything, the muscles. The body is affected by the quality of thought I'm holding. But it doesn't stop at the body, right? It comes out beyond the body and it affects the relationships I'm in. People pick up from me that I'm sad or I'm afraid or I'm anxious or whatever, and they get a little bit infected, you might say, with that feeling. My house, the atmosphere in my home becomes like that, like the quality of thought I'm holding and the quality of feeling I'm holding. Have you ever walked into a room right after someone's been angry? They don't even need to be saying anything, but you know that that's what's just gone on in that room. The rooms hold those vibrations. So when we think about thoughts and feelings, there's a bit of a spectrum. So at the low end of the spectrum, with the lowest vibrations, would be negative thoughts and negative feelings. The ones I've just been talking about, right? Fear, anxiety, worry, sadness. If the mind goes to the past and regrets, that's a negative thought. And it's a negative state of the body, and it's a negative state of mind. If the mind goes to the future and is anxious, that's a negative state of being. Now my mind is racing. Now my heart is worried. If I'm comparing myself with everyone around me, do they have a better vacation? Are their children going to better schools? Are they smarter? Are their kids doing better? Do they have a better dog or house or whatever? All of that domain of thoughts and feelings are at the negative end of the spectrum. And they also, just like we were saying with awareness, if my awareness is fearful, my attitude is afraid, my vision is that everything is dangerous and the actions I take are afraid. But if you come up the ladder, come up the spectrum from negative thoughts and feelings. You get to wasteful thoughts and feelings. They're not negative, they're just kind of ordinary, right? Maybe I'm looking at my calendar. Maybe I'm thinking about what I want to buy on Amazon. Maybe I'm just, there's nothing particular going on in there. I'm fit. My mind is full. My heart's busy. My mind is busy, but nothing much is being produced. But when you move away on up the spectrum from there and you move to positive thoughts and positive feelings, joy, contentment, awe, gratitude, kindness, empathy, right? That whole domain. Now, the thoughts in the mind are beneficial. The vibrations, the frequency of the vibrations are very beneficial. What comes out of my eyes is serving. What's going on in my heart is generous. So when we talk about a grateful heart, we're talking about paying attention to the quality of the thought in the mind and the feeling in the heart, and not letting those negative or even wasteful things occupy the mind and heart. And actually, we can go up from positive. Positive is not the top of the spectrum. The top of the spectrum is to have pure, elevated, auspicious thoughts and feelings. So, what are those? So, if you're thinking about God, if every thought is a blessing for someone, may things go well for you. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. May you know who you are. This kind of blessing, this benediction, they're called, right? Though that quality of thought and that quality of feeling is at the high end of the spectrum. So at that end of the spectrum, we are extremely light. We are in the awareness that we are souls. Yeah, we're human beings. We're doing a human life, but we understand that we are light and that we have the capacity that comes of being light. We understand we're eternal. We understand we're virtuous. We understand we have an endless well of kindness and goodness. And we understand that at any moment we can connect to the spiritual parent and bring down endless, endless, endless amounts of those qualities and virtues that the world is hungry for. So when we stay in that consciousness, everything we do is service. Everything. So if I'm in that consciousness and I'm cooking dinner, what's the energy that's going into the food? The energy of the cook goes into the food, right? So if the cook is afraid, or the cook is angry, or the cook is anxious, the soup is angry and anxious. If the cook is loving and benevolent and filled with blessings and love, it goes into the food. It goes into every word we speak. What comes out of your mouth filled with love. You become patient. We're not in a big rush. We notice things. We notice what's going on for people around us. We pick up if someone in front of us is a little bit low. And we know just what they need. We understand just what they need from us. So being able to keep ourselves in either the positive states of mind and heart, or in the auspicious and elevated states, which is what we want, that's service. And that's what the spiritual life is all about. That's why you come to Harmony House and think together as a community, or meditate together. You're in touch with your spiritual friends because that is your aspiration. Even though, when we are on a spiritual track, things can be quite dark outside. There can be great difficulty in the world. There can be great difficulty in our families or our communities, but we aren't taking from them. We are creating those benevolent thoughts and feelings inside. We are taking from the divine and we are serving what's out there. We are sending our good wishes. We are sending our pure feelings. We are giving them a smile. You know, yesterday or day before, I was on the phone with a woman. She's actually got a TED talk, and she's very active at the UN, and she tells a story in her TED talk. Her name is Amandine Roche, Roche. If you want to look her up, Amandine Roche, Roche. And she's quite courageous, actually. She is all about consciousness and living. And she tells a story that she was at a women's conference, and I forget what country she was in. And a terrorist showed up, and he let them know he was a suicide bomber. He was going to kill himself and blow all them up. And she went rushing towards the door, and then some inner voice spoke to her, and she came back. And the inner voice said to her just to smile at him, just to make eye contact and smile at him. And she did that. She came back. It's an amazing story. She came back, she looked at him, and she smiled at him. She didn't even say anything. And it completely disarmed him. And he changed his mind. And she said she felt that that smile saved the lives of 300 women at that conference. So the moral of all of this is to be able to maintain a grateful heart isn't trivial. It's not a small thing. It's not just Thanksgiving and then we're on to the next thing. It's our aspiration as being on this spiritual journey together. And when we're able to do that, all kinds of miracles happen. Small miracles and really big miracles. So it's lovely to be with you. I'm going to ask Michelle to come back and ask you all these good questions she has for you, and I'll stay on to listen. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti, Sister Judy. Thank you so much. I just put in the chat box if anyone has any questions. And Brother Eric, is there anyone that have any questions, or people typing away?
I think they're typing away.
They're typing away. I just put it in. I didn't want to break the rhythm. It was so beautiful, what you had said. And it's funny, I have absorbed, and I think it's tied into this, one of your last meetings that you've had, and my husband sat next to me because that was his, I think it was, could it have been Valentine's Day or, I'm trying, no, it couldn't have been Valentine's, but it was a special day. And I said, you know what I want as a gift? You're going to sit with me. And we're going to, and it was about,
I remember, where was that? Yeah.
And it was also about gratitude, but and it tied into the story about maybe yes, maybe no.
Oh,
and
right,
the
right,
choice
right.
that you make. And I have to tell you that
Chinese.
one line is become the hallmark of our home now, because as things happen, what we thought is a challenge or not a good thing, we now catch each other. Maybe yes, maybe no. So too, all the things that at first blush may seem to be problematic, maybe yes, maybe no. And it speaks to your story about your friend with her unfortunate incident, if you will, about her arm. Maybe yes, maybe no. And that is, something that we now, it's colored our whole
That's great.
existence. And it really has changed the way we look at things. And I thank you for that. It kind of, if you would like to share that, you had that story, but again, that proverb about, the things that appear
Chinese, It's the Chinese farmer, right? Isn't that
I
what the
think so,
story?
yes, where he had all these things and all the village people would chime in,
Right, right, right.
tell them
All
what it
right. So I'm going
was.
to share this story with you.
Great.
Okay. Everyone, you might have run across this. It's a very common Chinese proverb, but since Michelle's brought it up, it does help us with this gratitude thing. So here it's pretty short. So a farmer and his son had a beloved stallion who helped the family earn a living. One day, the horse ran away, and their neighbors exclaimed, "Oh, your horse ran away. What terrible luck." The farmer replied, "Maybe so, maybe not. We'll see." A few days later, the horses returned home, leading a few wild mares back to the farm as well. And the farmers shouted out, "Your horses returned," and brought several horses home with them. What great luck! The farmer replied, "Maybe so, maybe not. We'll see." Later that week, the farmer's son was trying to break one of the mares, and she threw him to the ground, breaking his leg. The villagers cried, "Oh, your son broke his leg. What terrible luck." The farmer replied, "Maybe so, maybe not. We'll see." A few weeks later, soldiers from the National Army marched through town, recruiting all the able bodied boys for the army. They did not take the farmer's son, still recovering from his injury. The friends shouted, "Your boy is spared. What tremendous luck." To which the farmer replied, "Maybe so, maybe not. We'll see." So, and you know how often, I mean, you lose a job and then you start your own business. Or in the case of my friend, you know, you can't figure out how you're going to start saying no and slow down, and you just take that little fall and all of a sudden things start going your way. So, yeah, it takes faith, doesn't it? Trust.
Love that story. That's a
Yeah,
great story.
it's a great story. Yeah.
And a great signpost for us on
Mhm.
how to look at everything. It's a choice that we make.
Exactly. It's a habit,
And
right?
right. And it changes and it becomes a habit of and it's something we work on.
Right.
So that was really beautiful, and it tied in so beautifully. There seems to be a theme of gratitude whenever I see you, and it does carry me through the day. So
Well,
it
you have
was
that nature, Michelle. I've always felt you were that way. You do have a grateful nature.
maybe yes, maybe
Maybe
no.
no. Exactly.
Oh, but today I actually was doing a program for my work, and we were talking about the COVID and how it affects work and my attitude. I was just so happy to be with the people that I was with, and it was and I love to talk about my work because it is a very, I do affordable housing, so I'm very proud of it, and it's helping people. And afterwards, I was so exuberant, almost, enjoying myself, and then the people around were like, there's a pandemic going on, and then I had to pull back, like, and believe me, we all suffer with that. I've had my losses, people know, family losses up, but you move on and you make choices. So I thought that was rather, I
Yeah.
want to say amusing, that I forgot, that's okay if you forget. You don't have to be sad, all the time. That's not the important thing. So I thought of that today
Yeah,
too. I was
that's
so
right.
grateful.
Well, and I think, I think that when you're on a spiritual path, whatever spiritual path you're on, I mean, we're all, those of us who come together for this are focused on Raj Yoga, but what you're trying to do is to create an inner state that is
Excuse me.
not dependent on what's going on outside, right? So most of the world takes its inner cues from what's happening outside. So if things are bad outside, then things are bad inside. And I think the media makes that even harder. If we are addicted to the media, then we pour over all of the news stories, and then it sets this stuff in motion. But if you are on a spiritual path, then what you're saying is, look, I'm going to choose the inner state that I'm going to live in. I'm going to choose the kinds of thoughts that I have. I'm going to choose the way that I frame this. And I'm going to have, it also connects with having faith, but faith is in the intellect, with having trust. And trust is in the heart. And I think we have to trust three kinds of things. For one thing, we have to trust ourselves. I think we have to trust that when I'm in a situation, that because I've been practicing, because I meditate, because I think about, what quality of awareness I want to have, that I'm going to know what to do. I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to make the right choice when I'm in that situation. So that's trust the self. I think we also trust God. And in that, what I mean is that when we listen inside, like that woman, Amandine Roche, she really felt she got this message to go back. I mean, when she listened inside, she really felt she got this message. Don't run. Turn around, go back, look at this guy, and smile at him. In other words, make a human contact. And when we trust that, when we've got that connection, we get signals. If we can keep ourselves quiet, if we can keep the heart quiet and the mind sort of stable, then we can pick up these signals of what we need to do. And then I think we have to trust life a bit. On this path, we tend to call it the drama, that we are actors and that it's a play. But whatever you call it, we have to trust that it is fundamentally benevolent. So I break my arm. That's a real nuisance, and it's a real drag. And I'm going to be recovering, and I'm going to have a scar. But if the soul understands something now that it didn't understand before, then there was huge benefit. We spend so much time worrying about what happens to the body, and yet it's really the condition of the soul that we're interested in. So if the soul has a big epiphany, but we have to sacrifice the beauty of the arm for it, I think it's probably, worth it. So I think that this business of trust and gratitude helps with that too, right? Having a grateful heart allows you to be in a state of trust. And I would say being trusting allows you to have a grateful heart. Yeah.
I love that. And I like the idea, and you made sense in terms of getting your signals from within rather than from without. That you don't have to, your feelings do not have to be necessarily generated by what's going on around you. If you feel good inside, go with it, rather than picking up, as you say, from the media and all the matter going on around you. So I think that's very valid, that you can validate yourself just by how you feel.
Like that Chinese farmer that you and your husband like, right?
We really
He
like
didn't
him.
believe his neighbors.
I
Right.
loved it. I
Yeah.
love that. So if there are no questions, Brother Eric, is there anything? I think kind of summed it up so well, Sister Judy.
On appreciation and so the wonderful presentation, but it seems that anybody who had a question had those resolved and responded to. And so I think there's a lot of appreciation and gratitude being felt right now. And so either a meditation or a song to conclude might be just.
Well, why don't we orient to a meditation and then play the song? So in the meditation, if you're going to have a meditation on gratitude, then you're going to allow your thoughts to quiet, and especially any thoughts you have about anything that's alarming you. So don't let anything that's going on outside alarm you. Just turn down the volume on that. You've got a screen in your mind, right? So just reach up to the knob next to the screen and turn down that volume on anything going on outside. And now turn up the volume on inside, what's in your heart. And so now you're just going to listen to the beat of your heart. And you're going to listen to your breath. And you're going to listen to this well of gratitude that tells you you are so fortunate. You are so fortunate to be aware, to be awake, to be connected with your true self, to be connected with God, and to be in a community of those who have this shared interest. So the main thing you're going to say to yourself, and I'm going to ask Brother Eric to play a song to take us out, you're going to say, thank you. Thank you to the self. Thank you to God. Thank you to your community. Thank you to Harmony House.
Thank you for your inspiration, for your life and love. Thank you for your recognition of the one above. Thank you for your sweet compassion, for your life of truth. Thank you for walking on this earth. Thank you for being you. The river flows back to the ocean. The trees turn back to dust. The sun must set as the day it ends, and so shall all of us. The gift of silence is returned to each one soul by soul. I know you hold it in your heart as you watch your life unfold. So go to the sea, flow to the ocean, fly like a bird to his arms. Take all the love of all who will miss you, but know we are never apart. Thank you for your inspiration, for your
So, Sister Judy, guess what I'm going to say?
I know what you're going to say.
Thank you, and mean it. And you know, it feels like I feel full, sated, like a good Thanksgiving meal that it's going to carry me for the rest of the evening and probably for the rest of the week as we go into this month of November, which is when we should focus, but we should focus, as you had brought up, every day. We have something to be thankful for. But I think it's very timely that this subject is now, and we're all sated. You gave us a whole table full of spiritual goodies that we nibbled on and that we can think about all through the rest of the month. So thank you so much for your beautiful words, and Brother Eric for his thank you for your technical savvy and your patience, and everyone out there, and Sister Inez and all of that. So the continuation of Thursday conversations about gratitude next week. Beautiful. Gratitude is the inner symphony of the heart. Again, gratitude is the inner symphony of the heart. And you touched on that, your heart. And just to continue, we're going to have online meditation classes November 16th and the 8th through the 18th and the 23rd through the 25th. I'm sorry, I'm gobbling my words. The November 16th through 18th and 23 through 25 from 7 to 8 p.m. That's Monday through Wednesday. Registration, please call the Global Harmony House at 516-773-0971. And as Sister Judy mentioned, it is Diwali, the Festival of Lights, and our program will be November 22nd from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. And there is a Zoom link, and I can probably put that in the chat. So maybe I'll do that. And that is it. So we will thank you again, Sister Judy, and everyone, and we will see you. And if you give me a moment, because I did save that chat, the information for the chat. I hope I did. Yes, I did. Here it is. Okay, so I'm going to give that Zoom link and copy, and hopefully I know what I'm doing, and I do, and I'm grateful for that. And I'm going to, okay, so we see it. That is the Zoom link for the public Diwali service. So we will see you then, and Om Shanti, everyone, and we'll see you next week as well.
Very
Bye.
good. Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate it. Everybody coming. Thank you. Our hearts are full of gratitude.
Thank
Thank you.
Om Shanti. Good night.
Om Shanti.